Are you struggling to find unique and meaningful gifts this year without breaking the bank? Well, then, you need a little Thriftmas right now. In today's video, we'll go treasure hunting to unearth 15 thoughtful and budget-friendly gifts hidden in the aisles of the thrift store. From vintage treasures to items that need a little bit of upcycling, we'll find something perfect for everyone on your list. And although they'll look expensive, they won't come with the hefty price tag. So let's get started right this very minute.
I think giving handmade gifts is always a good idea, whether they're made by you or someone else. I like to look for knit, crocheted, and embroidered items. Who wouldn't love these sweet embroidered napkins? And what a steal at only 67 cents each. I bought these handcrafted clay rounds with plant impressions to use as wall art, and then I read the tag. Bonus, they are bun warmers. I printed out new directions for each tile and then added the bun warmers to a thrift store basket along with a new tea towel. Where I live, the weather is getting cold, and that's an even better reason to thrift indoor and outdoor planting supplies. I love gifting live plants repotted in a unique pot from the thrift store. I'm going to hunt down some paper whites later this week. I wasn't sure what this was. I think maybe it's a squirrel feeder. I bought a metal wall mount planter for $1 and combined it with other thrift store finds, like this never-used tea towel, a vintage book about herbs, a faux plant in a little metal pail, although I do prefer using a live plant, a trowel, and a hand shovel. When giving money or gift cards, I like to personalize the gift with a fun and useful container from the thrift store. How about cash tucked inside a wood shoe? My niece loves boho design, so I thought this little wood-carved box would be a perfect container for a gift card. I cleaned up the wood with some feed and wax and then vacuumed the fabric liner. Now it looks as good as new and so much nicer than a cardboard gift box and for almost the same price. My niece asked for some beauty supplies for Christmas, so I thrifted this pink leather and suede purse to package them. Although it was in great condition, I used some leather cleaner on the outside and vacuumed the liner to make it look even better. I had so much fun shopping for all the beauty products I put inside. I think she's going to love it. I know I would. I also thrifted this $1 jewelry box. The music mechanism was broken, so I hammered out the wood dividers and then removed the screws holding the mechanism in place. Since the fabric on the bottom didn't cover the entire space, I pulled it out and scraped out the foam padding that was underneath. Since the Hummel print on the lid was scratched up, I took the box to my garage and just sanded it off with my orbital sander. To apply a new design, I brushed on a coat of Mod Podge to the top of the lid and let it dry. And while it was drying, I cut a piece of William Morris gift wrap to fit inside the box. Because gift wrap wrinkles really easily when used with white glue, I applied glue stick to the back of the paper and to the floor of the jewelry box, and then adhered the paper, smoothing out any wrinkles with my fingers. When the Mod Podge on the lid had dried, I applied a second coat of Mod Podge and let that dry. Then I cut out another piece of William Morris gift wrap to fit the top of the lid. I aligned it perfectly with the box lid and laid a piece of parchment paper over it. And then I ironed it with a medium hot dry iron for a minute or two. Be sure not to use steam. I even poured out any water that was remaining in my iron before I started. The heat of the iron activates the glue and you will get a wrinkle-free finish, even when using heavy, often wrinkly gift wrap. Once the paper had cooled completely, I sealed it with a top coat of Mod Podge. I ordered these William Morris playing cards from Amazon. In fact, both the gift wrap and the playing cards are linked in my Amazon store. I placed the playing cards inside, and there's extra room for a pen and paper too. I hadn't originally planned on painting the box, but I didn't like the orangey wood up against the William Morris pattern, so I went ahead and painted the outside of the box with some dark green chalk paint. I know personally I would love to get this as a gift. Another fun gift you can find at thrift stores is art and craft supplies. You can find so many fun items. Many of them are in new or like new condition. Take the items out of their original packaging so that you can sort out those things that look old or worn that you don't want to include, and put the remaining items in a fun container. I like to use a recycled old pickle jar. Look at this winemaking kit I saw for $3.50. That's a fun idea for the right person. Dishes and glassware of all kinds are an easy find at thrift stores and a really useful gift idea. You can often find items in their original packaging. And at this time of the year, you can find complete sets of Christmas dishes that would be a great gift for a young married couple. You can also find unique serving dishes that are often needed during the holidays, like an extra large platter for a turkey. Although I also love just a pretty china platter that can be used year-round, or a wicker basket for chips and dip. I bought this salad bowl set for $2.84, and they're solid walnut and in good condition, except that the wood was really dry. So I rubbed on some feed-in wax, and rather than wiping away the excess, I let the bowls sit for a while and let the feed-in wax soak in. They look so good now. To gift them, I added 2 thrift store hot pads and a fun set of wood salad forks. I know a young couple that will certainly put these items to good use. I also thrifted these 2 small china bowls that I thought were the perfect size to use as a soap dish. I bought 2 plain white bars of soap from Dollar Tree. To decorate the soap, I pulled apart the 3 plies of a paper napkin. Keeping just the top patterned layer, I cut out a couple of the floral designs. I brushed Mod Podge on the top half of the soap and then placed the piece of napkin onto the Mod Podge. I used the paintbrush to carefully smooth out the napkin and brush more Mod Podge over the top of the napkin. The soap, when used, will dissolve from the bottom half, so it will still look pretty even after several uses. You can buy both new and vintage games and toys at the thrift store, but I think older adults really enjoy the nostalgia of the vintage items. Who doesn't know someone who had this Fisher-Price school bus as a kid? I didn't realize it, but one of my viewers informed me that vintage jigsaw puzzles are collectible now. I thrifted these fun vintage jigsaw puzzles and this little bingo game and clacking balls. I think my nephew might enjoy these since he won't have seen anything like them before. You might be surprised at all the sporting equipment you can find at the thrift store. During this outing, I found several brand new items, including bike helmets, a baseball glove, and a pair of ice skates, and all were great deals. You might not think of giving kitchen utensils and accessories as a Christmas gift, but they are a practical gift that will be appreciated by anyone who cooks. And if you keep your eyes open, you can find brand new items in their original packaging. My son's girlfriend, Madison, loves to cook, so I picked up some less common kitchen utensils that she probably doesn't already have. I washed them really well, and then I polished the 2 silver pieces. By the way, I used Barkeeper's Friend, which a few viewers recommended to me after last week's video, and it does work great. To make these simple utensils a bit more memorable, I thrifted this lovely vintage pitcher in Madison's favorite color, dark green. I also thrifted a new kitchen towel, which I added to the pitcher along with the kitchen utensils. I love repurposing thrift store beverage dispensers because you get an extra large glass jar for a small price. Just unscrew and remove the tap. To dress up these jars, I often decoupage a vintage label to the side, but this time I decided to apply an IOD rub-on transfer. Even though the glass has a bubbly texture, the Santa transfer adhered perfectly. I also thrifted 2 sets of metal cookie cutters, costing about 10 cents each. I washed them and added them to the glass jar. This jar came with an aluminum screw-on lid, but to dress it up, I added a glass lid from a different thrift store jar from my stash, and then added a pretty red bow. Thrift stores offer all varieties of home decor at great prices, but I recommend looking for classic materials like brass, wood, and silver. Or how about a vintage Chanel bedspread or collectible items like figurines or chinoiserie? I thrifted 2 solid brass picture frames for just $1 each. To gift them, I printed out photos on inexpensive photo paper to fit inside the frames. Today, young people rarely take the time to print out photos, so they'll really appreciate this extra step. These lovely landscapes were half off, so I got them both for $6. Unfortunately, the frames looked like they had been sponge painted, so to give them a quick update, I mixed together some black and green chalk paint to create a very dark green color and carefully painted over the speckled areas. When the paint was dry, I lightly distressed the frame with sandpaper to bring back some of the original gold paint. Then I carefully brushed antiquing wax over the frame, wiping away the excess. Would it be terribly un-Christmassy if I kept these for myself because they look so good in my family room? In case you didn't know, vinyl records are actually popular again with young people, and new copies are being sold by retailers. But you can still find vintage records at thrift stores for low prices. Bundle some old LPs with a new record player for a gift that is perfect for people of all ages. Okay, you knew I would have to include books in today's list. Most of the thrift stores in my area still sell books for $1. I love the look, the smell, and the content of old books. Look at this antique book, The History of the Hebrew Commonwealth. Although it was published in 1920, it is certainly relevant today. In addition to books, this year I was on the lookout for some classic cookbooks to give my son's girlfriends. My grandmother, my mom, and I all used the Better Homes and Garden cookbook, And I got so lucky and was able to find 2 copies in good condition. For Madison, I bundled the cookbook with a glass platter. I hope she likes the pretty pine cone design. On the other hand, Amaya loves a good charcuterie tray, so I'm bundling her cookbook with a cutting board, some kitchen towels, a DIY oven mitt, and a few thrifted kitchen utensils. I buy like new and slightly used candles for myself at the thrift store year-round. Unfortunately, the selection on this outing was not great, but I did find this wax shell, which I think is meant to hold a battery-operated votive. I wanted to give it an update before gifting it, so I started by scraping off the somewhat dated snowman design. To dress it up, I went outside and cut some small evergreen branches to add to the candle. I arranged one at a time along the sides of the candle, covered it with a piece of parchment paper, and then pressed it with a medium-hot iron for about 30 seconds. I'm giving the candle to Madison, so I just pulled out the smallest of the 3 salad bowls to use it as a candle stand. Many thrift stores sell both newer and vintage jewelry, often displayed in cases near the checkout. These 2 vintage pins and the cameo earrings really caught my attention. I ended up buying the long pin and a newer pair of earrings, along with a bracelet that had cat charms hanging from it. To clean the vintage pieces, I soaked them in jewelry cleaner for 15 minutes. The pin came out sparkling, but the bracelet was made from cheap materials and was actually ruined by the cleaner. So the lesson is, don't put costume jewelry in jewelry cleaner. And of course, I'm going to put the 2 surviving pieces in pretty thrift store containers. I think Amaya will like this modern black and silver jewelry box, and Sadie will like this little beaded boho box. Many people work from a desk every day, but they often don't take the time to buy themselves nice desk accessories. How fun are these golf-themed office supplies? I wasn't looking for a men's valet, but this large one was only $8. It cleaned up very nicely. Now I just have to decide who I'm going to give it to. I think I'll package it with this walnut clip that I thrifted for just $1. I have to be honest, this is the first Christmas that I have ever specifically looked for pet supplies at the thrift store, because we have a new puppy and Spencer and Madison have a new kitten, and I was not disappointed with what I saw. It's a good thing this sweater was only 50 cents because Edgar did not enjoy it. I also thrifted a number of other fun items that might be perfect for someone on your list. So be sure to check out my online store, CanterburyCottageShop.com. Thank you so very much for watching today, and Merry Christmas from my cottage to yours.